call the school committee meeting from May 29th to order. It is 7:01. We are all here, so no need for roll calls, which is great. I'll walk through the agenda quickly and then we'll dive in. So after the agenda, we'll start with any public comment. So anybody here from the public who wishes to address anything not on the agenda, that would be the time. If you do want to do so, just raise your hand. You'll go up to the podium, mention your name, address, and what you want to talk about for 2 or 3 minutes. We'll then move to our consent agenda, in which point we will, as a committee, review that and vote on it. We'll then go to a new item on our agenda, which is new roles in alignment with the new policy that we approved last week. And Dr. Milczewski will talk through that briefly. We'll move to reports from there. Are you double dipping as a student report tonight too? No. Okay. So we will skip our student report and go with superintendent, assistant superintendent, and liaison and school committee subcommittee reports. Then we'll move to new business, and that starts first with our Reading Education Foundation grant update, and we have some of the board members here to present that and tell us all about it. We're excited. I saw the check. It's awesome. We then move to a request from our SOCA for EJI group, which is the Joshua Eaton name removal request, which will follow our older policy because it came in right before the new policy was approved. So we'll walk through that when we get to it. We then hopefully we'll have a CPAC FY25 end of year update. I see a head nod, so we're good. And then we'll move on from there to student services end of year update, the district strategic plan update, and finally, Director of Finance and Operations interim role update. So packed schedule tonight. So with that said, do we have anybody here from the public who would like to make a public comment? No. Okay. So we'll move to our focus on excellence, which is our Project 351 ambassadors. And Dr. M, do you want to pick it up from here?
Great. I think we can invite up our 2 Project 351 ambassadors and also both Sarah Marchant and Jill Story, who can share a little bit about Project 351 and their work this year.
Sarah, I thought we had a slide. I don't think we have a slide.
I think so.
So the students are really meant to be showcased. I will just say hello, thank you for having us, and I'm happy to be here with Coolidge student Esme Moss, who was our Coolidge representative for Project 351. She'll tell you a lot more. And thank you very much for having us. Lucas Dorfman is Parker's Project 351 ambassador, and so he's going to talk a little bit about the service project.
Great. Thank you. Esme. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Running out to turn on the mic.
My name is Esme Moss, and I am an 8th grade student at Coolidge Middle School. I represented Coolidge in the Project 351 organization. Project 351 is a group of students from every town in Massachusetts coming together to do good in our communities. In January, Lucas and I attended the launch day of the year-long service project at the JFK Library in Boston. During this day, we met our district groups and then set out to do service projects. We were divided into 3 different locations around the Boston area. I went to a shelter called La Collaborativa. There we handed out food, made emergency kits with toiletries, and tied pieces of fabric together to make a total of 50 blankets for those who needed them. Overall, the day was full of joy and collaboration. There were also 7 students who were chosen to deliver speeches at the conference. I was one of those students. I would like to share with you now what I wrote and later delivered in response to the question, what is your dream for the world? My dream for a better world is simple, a world without hate. We aren't born full of hate. Hate is put onto us. So instead, let's teach one another to respect and love each other the same as we would our own family, to have special compassion for those struggling with mental health challenges. With love, we can create a world of no judgment, where no one suffers in silence and everyone is accepted and understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Esme.
And Lucas has a slide. I'm not sure where that is, but if there's a way to display the slide, he did.
Let's see. Do you have it available right now or no?
I had it share. I could share it with you.
Yeah, if you want to share it with me, then I can pull it up. Thank you.
Or send it to me, I can pull it up too.
Yeah. If you wanted to, if you send it to Tom and I, that'll be quick. We can pull it up. And I'm sorry for the technical difficulty. It does give me the chance to share one thing, though, about Project 351, about the process of selection, too. So off their site, Some of the criteria, which you'll hear, it says an ambassador is an eighth grade student selected by educators in their community based on exemplary ethic of service and the values of kindness, compassion, humility, and gratitude. A special premium is placed on the recognition of unsung heroes and quiet leaders and the rich diversity of our Commonwealth. 351 representing 151 towns across our Commonwealth too. So just like to, while we're waiting to, congratulate both of you on being selected out of very, very many recipients in both the Parker and Coolidge community. And thank you for your leadership and service to our community and to the state. I love seeing the quiet, unsung heroes in that way, but the work that you're doing is tremendously impactful, and we look forward to following it too as you continue to lead in our community next year in high school and beyond. Is there anything else while we're pulling it up that anyone wants to share about the project, questions? Off the record comments about your experience before we go to the slide?
Step forward to us, Esme.
Sorry.
Okay.
I plan to do more with Ms. Marchant during the summer for service projects, continuing to serve the community.
Great.
While Esme's up there, I'll just publicly recognize her as well as one of our student participants in the Children's Cabinet. She's been a participant for the last 2 years in that process as well. So not only is she doing Project 351, she's giving back in the Children's Cabinet as well.
Awesome. And Tom, I just shared it with you too.
There it is. Okay.
There you go. You're doing a great job. It's all, you did it. It's great. It's okay.
Yep.
It's,
I got it.
we got it. We're good. We're good. It's a great picture too. I'm glad we took the time to pull it up. Do we have anyone else, a former 351 ambassador? No.
Okay, so share screen.
And Esme, we put you on the spot? Do you mind sharing a little bit more about some of the work this summer that you plan to do with Ms. Marchant as well?
Yes. Well, Project 351 collaborates with an organization called Cradles to Crayons. I think during the summer we would plan to get some donations for clothing for children in need, and kids who are in need of clothing, we would plan to get donations for that.
It's a perfect transition to Lucas then.
Hi, my name is Lucas Dorfman, and this spring with Project 351, I managed Cradles to Crayons clothing drive for Parker Middle School. And for this drive, we set out a bin and put up posters to spread the word, and we organized a team to help sort the clothes and bring them to the Cradles to Crayons drop-off. Over the 2 weeks that we spent collecting new and used clothes, we collected 17 bags at Parker and a total of 5,775 bags of clothing throughout all of Project 351. And with the help of Cradles to Crayons, we impacted 17,265 children from the drive, which is still counting as not all the clothes have been distributed. And yeah.
Awesome. I love data, so. All right, well, thank you both. We have a tradition here that when people come for the Focus on Excellence, we have them come and take a picture with the school committee. So if you two would mind, and principals, if you would like to as well, please come join us in front. And, Dr. Coram, would you do the honors? As our honorary, always here guest. We're going to be coming out behind this Carla's like, I'm trying to hide.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Take another one.
Thank you for your leadership. Our world needs more leaders like both of you, so thank you. Keep it up.
Okay. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, we'll move to our consent agenda. And Darren, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Any discussion, concerns, or points from anybody? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? And it passes 6-0. So we'll move on to the new item on our agenda.
Job description.
That's where I was going.
Perfect.
The new item on our agenda, which is the new role, the 1.0 FTE Middle School Metco Site Coordinator, SAC. Dr.
Great.
Milczewski, would you like to update us
Excited
on
to share
that?
this one too. So you'll see on the agenda, there's a new role listed on there as well. So in accordance with the new policy that went over last week at school committee, anytime we add a new role to the district, we will also then share that job description with the school committee and make sure that that job description is shared publicly with the community. I'd like to share, we are thrilled to share that's a 1.0 Metco SAC position. So in the budget this year, we had put in for an additional kindergarten teacher. Given kindergarten enrollment, we do not need that additional kindergarten teacher, so we then moved that to be an additional Metco SAC position, which will be at Parker Middle School. So a little bit of context on that, as we know, when we opened up the Metco school counselor positions a few years ago, our goal was to be able to have a Metco school counselor at each one of our, especially our K-8 buildings. This will now allow us to have each of our 5 elementary schools and our 2 middle schools with a full-time Metco SAC, and then Still High School with Mr. Luke as our full-time Metco coordinator. Jerica Santiago will be full-time at Coolidge and will be hiring this position at Parker. Last leg of that is last year we added a 1.0 Metco coordinator who is based full-time at Parker. That was Mr. Daring. Mr. Daring is now going to be floating across the entire district supporting students and student needs throughout too. So excited to share that now has built our Metco team up to 9 full-time staff members. So thank you to the leadership and advocacy of many in this room and in our community. We think this role will make a huge difference on the day-to-day experience for our students.
Any questions from the committee? Okay. I think the policy says we need a vote to approve it, so let's take a motion real quick to approve it then as well.
Motion to approve the creation of or the hiring of?
Creation.
The creation of a 1.0 full-time middle school Metco site coordinator / school adjustment counselor.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Any further discussion or questions? Nope. All in favor? All opposed? And that passes 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Ham. And we'll move to reports, and Dr. Stice, you want to start?
Sure. I have something that everybody loves to talk about every year, and I just wanted to let people know it's coming up. Our Unified Sports Day is coming up. It's going to be on June 6th, which is a Friday, and families in the community are welcome to come and watch. It is a really wonderful time where we have students from all over the district. We bus them to the event, they have T-shirts, they do a whole bunch of sports, and we really want everybody to be part of this great thing. So it starts at 9 a.m., it runs from 9 to 11:30 on Turf 1 on June 6th, and I just really wanted to thank Tara Herlihy for her organization of this amazing event. We have music, and it's really exciting. And at the schools, they do either clap-ins or clap-outs for the student athletes. It's a very wonderful, inclusive activity.
Great. Dr. M?
Great. A couple of things. One, since we don't have a student rep, I'll share that for a couple of our RMHS spring sports teams are now in the state tournament season. We have 4 teams who are in the top 10 in the rankings, and a few that are actually even much higher than that. So there's teams who are very optimistic about a deep postseason run. So for those in the community who are looking to get out and support the teams, now is the time. Literally now is the time with our boys team out there. And then 2 things, trying to drive up some interest for next week's school committee meeting. 2 things to put a plug in for. One, at 6 o'clock is our annual Distinguished Teacher and Distinguished Staff Member Award ceremony. This gives us the chance to recognize some of the staff members and teachers who go above and beyond for our students every day. We'll share the names of those staff members and teachers over the next few days, but if you'd like to come help celebrate, reception's 5:30 and then ceremony is 6 to 7 p.m. Also, next week, we're excited to share Focus on Excellence will be around our student authors. So we have 9 students who have reached agreements with ArtCore for the rights to their writing to be published out. out in the community. They also are receiving checks anywhere between $200 and $1,000 next week. So Art Corps will be on site to hand out the checks next week and to celebrate our 9 young authors who will now be published authors. These are our 4th grade students. So thank you to Art Corps for doing that, but also excited to see our students here and celebrate their, it's a lot of money, right? See some students, that's awesome. So pretty impressive, and we'll also share each of those writing samples with the community so the community can see the work that will then be published from our students.
Great, thank you. Any questions I forgot to ask about Dr. Stice's update or Dr. Milczewski's update? No? Okay, we'll move on to liaison reports, and we'll start on this side. Sarah?
Surprise. So the coalition met yesterday. I was not able to go because it coincided with the choir banquet. So a couple notes. We celebrated 4 seniors this year that were the Rocket Leaders. So Gabriella, Justin, Megan, and Maya, just acknowledging all the work they've done with the coalition. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so there were a lot of events happening, a lot of support that the coalition provides to our school system in terms of different trainings and health classes. They did mental health wellness workshops, teen mental health first aid, choose to refuse, the second act performance for grades 9 and 10 here at the high school, as well as kind of sharing of different data points as well. The YRBS, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, will be administered next month in June, I think early in the month as well. And I think as we've mentioned previously, the opioid settlement the coalition received will be supporting the school system by hiring a part-time clinician as well for us.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Sarah?
I didn't hear what you said, they'll be hiring a part-time.
And you can speak better to the funding in terms of the clinician support and supporting that role as part of the opioid settlement that we received.
Thank you.
So the opioid settlement impact on us is an additional 0.4 to supplement our 0.6 health teacher position at the middle school. That's one piece. The second is the coalition's hiring an additional clinician who will be focusing primarily on our student needs. So this allows students in need of additional mental health support during the school day, where there may be barriers to get access to outside counseling, to be able to have that built into the school day for our students. There already is a mental health connection with the coalition. This is an additional staff member. So I'd like to thank the coalition for their continued partnership. This is, as we know, mental health support's often difficult to access, and there's a lot of barriers in place. Bringing those services in the school has been really impactful for a lot of our students.
Thank you.
Okay. Aaron?
No report tonight.
Sean?
Audit committee was supposed to be this evening, but was rescheduled until likely June 25th. And I'll just append Dr. Milczewski's update. Boys lacrosse was up 12-0 at halftime. So it was a good start.
Okay. Laura?
No report.
Carla?
Killam building project is starting in full swing. We will be starting monthly meetings. We have a meeting on Monday, the 2nd. I think today we set up like 12 meetings over the next 3 weeks. The designer has hit the ground running. Same with the OPM. We negotiated contracts, which we'll vote on at our Monday's meeting. And we've set up, or we will be setting up monthly meetings, and we're trying to kind of coincide with the other building project to not kind of overlap, because there's a lot of the same people on there, so.
Okay. We will be notified as a committee for Monday's meeting if anybody else wants to attend besides Sean and Carla. So just FYI. I think we are technically already notified.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw it.
Right, so just FYI on that. All right, back to me. Not really a liaison or subcommittee report, but since I didn't get a chance to do it in person because I was in San Francisco, I would like to congratulate Tamia Jones on being the school committee book club winner this year. Carla was able to announce it on our behalf at the senior awards night last week. So that's why she had that little bag that was given to her, in addition to the 2 books that we gave her as well. And so going to Bowie State, focusing on psychology. So we tried to find some books that aligned to that, and hopefully it will be helpful for you. And we're glad that you received it, and thank you for all you've done over the many years that you've been involved in the school, so thank you. All right, so we'll move on to new business, and we will start with the Reading Education Foundation grant update. And board members, please come around and go close to Carla so that camera can see you as well. She doesn't bite, unlike what people say about her.
Only some people. Not me. Not you. Come on in.
Thank you for having us. I'd like to start by quickly introducing the REF board who I have with me here. We have Emily James, who is on the grant committee, Andrea Nelson, who is Festival of Trees co-chair, Chris McCary, who's going to be our new grant chair. Debbie Hattery, our current grant chair, couldn't make it, but I do want to give her a special shout out. This is her last year on REF. She's led grants now for 2 years, and she's been an amazing board member, so I really want to thank her for all her work and the entire committee and the board. And I just want to give a short summary. I know most of you know about Reading Education Foundation, but I always like to reinforce that Reading's group has a little different model than some of our neighboring towns. Our funds come entirely through our fundraiser, Festival of Trees, and then a small portion is through direct donations. A lot of cities have corporate funding, other mechanisms to get grants, but we are a community-based group, and we feel that it's important that the money that is raised at Festival of Trees is given right back to the schools the very year that it is raised. And another reason we're very different from your PTOs and other organizations is that the grants that we bestow are based upon teacher and support staff requests. It's not the administration, it's not the parents, it is the teachers requesting items, and we're very proud to fund it. We hope to see more grants. We love how the grants evolve every year. We are so impressed by the teachers and what they're able to do with the funds that we provide. And we're very thankful to the community for continuing to support REF and support the Festival of Trees. And with that, I'm going to introduce Krista McCarty, who's going to talk about the grants that were given this year.
Well, it's wonderful to be here tonight. Thank you so much for having us. As Laura mentioned, Debbie Hattery was not able to be here and was very disappointed since this is her last official grant check delivery, but she prepared a message that she asked me to share with all of you. I want to take a moment tonight to recognize and celebrate a remarkable group within our district, our teachers who applied for REF grants this year and in years past. Putting together a grant application takes vision, creativity, and a genuine commitment to improving student learning. These educators went above and beyond their daily responsibilities to develop ideas that bring new tools into their classrooms, libraries, music and art rooms, and gyms, and make learning more engaging, inclusive, and effective. They don't stop with the question, what do my students need today? They ask, what could be possible tomorrow? Whether it's through technology, project-based learning, STEAM initiatives, or new ways of supporting social-emotional growth, these teachers are pioneers. Their applications reflect not only expertise, but also a love for their students and a willingness to lead with courage and curiosity. On behalf of REF, I want to thank every teacher who has submitted a grant application over the years. Your efforts are a powerful reminder of the passion and talent that exist in our schools. You are helping shape a culture that values imagination, initiative, and continuous improvement. We are proud of you, and we look forward to seeing how your ideas continue to inspire progress across our classrooms. Thank you.
I have one more thing. I should name the other members of the grant committee. It was Laura Fusco and Neil Taylor. And I also want to say thank you because I've been on REF 12 years. I've been president for 4, and this is my last year. So I want to thank the school committee for all their support, the administration, the principals, and the student seniors who have volunteered at Festival of Trees. You guys, it's not possible without you. So a huge thank you to the community.
Thank you. Picture.
Picture time.
Oh, more pictures.
We go back around for a picture.
Audience. Well, I mean, that's huge.
Well, no,
For the record, it's $29,334.
you can get it on camera too and wrap. Every time I ask Laura if I can keep it, every time. Maybe somebody else that's not, the new president next year will say yes.
By the way, you guys got a shout out at the Parker concert tonight. Mr. Norton was very thankful for his iPad. His iPad and everything.
Okay, so moving right along, the next item on our agenda is the Joshua Eaton name removal request submission. And just to go through some of the logistics so people understand what happens tonight versus other nights, and the team here already knows because we walked through it before. We are operating this under the policy that was the policy when they requested, which is the older version, but fundamentally it's not much different, right? This is an unnamed request. If this request is successful, there will be a name process afterwards. Tonight, they will present their justification and reason for the request. The board will not deliberate. We won't be saying, oh, I think this or I think that. We can ask clarifying questions. At our next meeting, the next Thursday, we will have any deliberation the board wants to have and vote on the creation of an advisory committee in alignment with the policy. At that point, if an advisory committee is formed, we will talk about the constituents of that, or part of that will be the constituents of that advisory committee, and then work to populate that advisory committee and move forward. So that's the story for tonight. Team, please come forward. Again, come over here so we can get you on camera if possible. Introduce yourselves and give us your information. As you know, you have up to about 10 minutes, if you need that much time, to outline your justification. We're moving the mics over for you as well. Thanks, Sean.
Carla, there's an empty seat. Thank you.
Hello, I am Jeremiah Sanford. As of tomorrow, no longer a senior. One more day.
Soon to be a graduate.
Yeah.
I'm Tamia Jones. I'm also like a senior. Now we got a few more hours. But yeah.
I'm Alana Doriquez. I am a junior, a rising senior.
Good evening. I am Dante DeCirio. I am a junior and a rising senior.
We are the Students of Color and Allies for Equity, Justice, and Inclusion. We are here today to kind of just talk about more about the proposal to unname the school Joshua Eaton. And I will pass it to these two juniors down here that will continue.
When Joshua Eaton Sr. passed away, he did not leave a will. It is not entirely clear on which Eaton family member owned Cato after the patriarch's death. Cato appears to have remained in the family, whether immediate or extended, as he retained the surname Eaton in the military record of 1782. Our proposal recommends renaming Joshua Eaton Elementary School because of the current school name is not clearly defined between Joshua Eaton Jr. and Joshua Eaton Sr. Our suggestion for a name is Cato Eaton Elementary School to acknowledge the full historical narrative of the community and to honor Cato, whose life and legacy represent resilience, service, and the often erased history of Black individuals in Reading. This name preserves historical continuity by retaining the Eaton surname, but centers the story on Cato, the man who endured enslavement and went on to serve in the Revolutionary War. His name will inspire students with a story of resilience, service, and the ongoing journey towards justice.
Okay, so our rationale for the name change is, number one, historical accuracy and representation. Honoring Cato recognizes the full truth of Reading's colonial history, including the presence of slavery and the contributions of enslaved people to the town. Additionally, it is an educational opportunity for the community. A school named for Cato provides a valuable platform for learning about slavery in New England, early African American history, and the enduring fight for justice. It also, Reading also has a moral responsibility. Continuing to name a school after a known enslaver without addressing his legacy continues to perpetuate historical injustice. Renaming the school after Cato reflects a commitment to equity and truth. It will also serve as a way of community growth and inclusion. Renaming the school symbolizes progress and inclusivity, values that should define our education system and public institutions.
We ask for your help to make sure this very important change, to help create this very important change in our community. This proposal is not an erasure of history, but an expansion of it. By renaming the school to Cato Eaton Elementary, the Reading community has an opportunity to tell a further, more honest story, one that acknowledges the pain in the past and uplifts of the voices too long ignored. We respectfully urge the school committee to support this renaming effort and set a powerful example for the current and future generations. It is time to give Cato his due on the land that he worked and lived on. Thank you.
Okay, without any deliberation, are there any questions from anybody in the committee?
So just to confirm, the order of operations, this proposal, it goes through all the cycles and iterations, would result in removing the name. If I remember correctly, the name sort of stays in place until another name is identified, which requires another nomination process and the whole, yeah, okay.
Correct. So while they have suggested a name, technically it has to be unnamed first,
Right.
and then a name potentially if the unnaming is approved. Okay, Erin, yeah.
Forgive my ignorance, because I don't know this. Is the land that Joshua Eaton is on what was owned by the Eaton family?
Correct.
So that's exactly where it was?
Yes.
Can I ask another question?
Yep, question.
And Cato also fought in the war?
Yes.
Yes.
How old was Cato when he died?
I believe in his 30s. I don't remember exactly. It's not now.
Did he die in the war, or?
After the war.
After the war, okay. And Joshua Eaton Jr. died in the war, correct? Around, I've seen different numbers for his age, but 18, 19?
Roughly, yes.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, so as you know, that's the end of tonight from this perspective. We'll bring it back for next Thursday, and as of right now, it's the first thing on the agenda for next Thursday. So other than the beginning stuff that you just saw us go through, you guys will be the first on the agenda for next Thursday.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so we're going to move on from there to our CPAC FY25 end-of-year update. And I believe we have some of the CPAC board members here, and would you, ladies, please join us down here as well. And I have your presentation that we can start sharing. Okay.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Dilly Wilson. I'm one of the board members. And with me today are
Trisha Kiley.
and
Jocelyn Lee.
And Eunice Kenyon and Zia Leonard were unable to be with us, but they're also board members. Next slide, please. Thank you. Just a reminder of who and what CPAC represents. We're the Special Education Parents Advisory Council. Our mission is really to work for the understanding and respect and support of all children with special needs in the community. And the words around the circle explain how we do that through networks of parents with special needs, advising the director of student services, promoting communication, sharing information between CPAC members and all our other constituents, and also do informational workshops for parents, educators, and students and professionals. Next slide. Thank you. So our agenda today, we're going to look at our year in review, what we did this year, and Tricia will then share our results from our annual survey that we do each year. Jaslyn will talk about what outreach efforts we've been working on, and then we'll round out with talking about the workshops that we did this year and also what we plan on doing next year, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So year in review, we started this year in October with a full board by our current bylaws is 6 members. 2 had, and so 4 of us were from the year prior, 2 new board members. We ended the year at 5 as 1 board member had to step down. And we expect to work on our bylaws next year to expand the number of board members to a higher number. It's more than 6. We haven't decided how many is too many yet, but we'll create a subcommittee to go through that. But it's been great to have a full board this past year. We've been having some great, strong momentum as we have in the year past. We've been continuing our external relationships. The meet and greet with team chairs and administration has been well received as the year before. And then we've continued our great partnership that we have with student services, which has been always just a great support for us. And as I talk to other CPAC members, not every school district has that, I think, privilege. So we're really blessed here. And we've also been working on our internal culture, having more parent workshops, more meet and greets among the community, and more social opportunities so that we can all get to know each other and therefore know what each other's needs are and hopefully do our best to meet them. We're also we worked on finding more under-reached groups and then identifying our blind spots and trying to be more inclusive and bringing everyone in. This is just some stats. So we've been active on social media. Not me personally, unfortunately. I don't have any of these accounts. However, we have 711 Facebook followers and number of events. So events is defined as the number of likes, reactions, saves, comments. We had 22,000 this year, which is great. So lots of people are on our Facebook account and interacting with it. And then you have some other numbers there just to show sort of our Facebook usage. We have 197 Instagram followers. And then I think 2 years ago now, Eunice and her husband actually created our CPAC website, which has, personally, that's how I learned about CPAC when my little one joined the school system, which is a fabulous website that they created. So we have, 164 that have visited our site this past year. The most popular sort of subsection being past presentations. We record as many presentations as we can to put them up for parents who are unable to join live. And then these are some of the other pages. So we're active and have great momentum on social media to try and get the word out on who are we and what do we do. I'd like to now give it over to Tricia, who'll talk about our survey.
Hi, Tricia Kiley. I'm the new board member here. So this is just words right from our survey that we put out. A lot of people like to connect with us. They love our in-person meetings. And like I said, you guys can read the word bubble. That's kind of fun to look at. But speakers was a big piece for us this year. A lot of parents responded to the speakers we had. We felt like we really reached people on, our reading. We had Sarah Hardy on. She did a great job with going over the reading program. We had the director of finance on to talk about the school budget, and that was very well received. So again, we really feel like parents love to have speakers, love the in-house speakers, but I think the third-party speakers, like from the foundation, are really nice for parents to get some outside the district information and then be able to bring it back to in-district. So it's been that's been like a big push. And like on Facebook, we promote that, but anytime we have a speaker on that we can record, it's on our website and people can go back and rewatch it if they can't make it. And I think that's, again, a key to get parents a little bit more informed about what special ed looks like in Reading, who they can connect with, and also give them some background information for their own personal knowledge. So, yeah, again, those are just some of the comments that we're taking exactly from our survey. Next slide. And then these are the things, again, that came up that, you know, people think we're doing a great job, and those blind spots you talked about is people feel like they don't know how to get involved, so we're trying to reach out and find out how we can connect with families who don't know how to navigate CPAC. I just joined the board this year, but like I had never really engaged with CPAC as much. Didn't think I needed to. I have a background in education, so I felt like I knew stuff. But it really is trying to get people to understand that this is not just you have someone in SPED and here's some information you may or may not need. We're really trying to reach out to the whole community and educate everyone. So when Sarah Hardy came on, she didn't just talk about special education reading. She talked about the reading program as a whole, and parents had an opportunity to, so it really was for the gen ed parents as well as for SPED parents. And that's the kind of what we're trying to reach out to and educate the community on what Reading has to offer. So where, you know, it says like, I don't know how to do CPAC, I don't know how to engage with you. That's our blind spot. We're really trying to work on that to make sure that we're reaching parents who don't just have like the heavy IEP kids, but the 504s, the, you know, my kid just has speech, but well, how can CPAC support me in that? And that's what we're really trying to, that's our goal going forward. And we pull all that from our survey. And then what else? Oh, this is next year. So next year, the topics for next year, we're looking at more middle school, high school conversations. A lot of our focus is like has been on the elementary age kids. And once you like, I have a 5th grader going to 6th grade. I, would love to know what goes on in the middle school a little bit more. And I think that's kind of like a jump that we haven't made yet in CPAC. A lot of the board members have younger children. I probably have one of the older kids at the moment. So looking to find more webinars and more speakers to speak to that middle school, high school transition, or just the curriculum going forward, social emotional going forward. It's very different in those age ranges compared to what they do in elementary school. And a lot of parents are looking for, multiple, autism and ADHD. We have some kids that my own have both. And how does that look like? What does that play out? What are the supports like? Reading's always going to be a big topic every single time. I think like when I was going through the survey, it was like dyslexia, reading. I'm like, okay, it's still going to be a problem. It's one of those things that people are always going to want to ask about. And we already have such great in-house people to discuss reading in Reading, dyslexia in Reading. I do think like getting a third-party outside person to give another perspective gives parents a sense of like, yeah, okay, Reading's doing what they're doing. I understand the diagnosis better. And what else do we have up there? And always people, it's really important for everyone to every year do what's in an IEP. How do you use an IEP? How do you get what you need out of an IEP? How do you go to an IEP meeting? That's always a very popular one too. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to in the next year.
So our outreach efforts have been, I guess, multi-fold. One, our partnership with Reading Public Schools and Student Services, and we really, again, really appreciate the reciprocal communication and collaboration all throughout the year and going forward. We've actively been having, monthly meetings, communicating parent concerns and suggestions, and then working to bring those speakers and topics to the community. Next slide, please. And then also connecting with our community. So we do it by information share as well as social engagement. From an information share, we have the website, we have our social media, we have the Facebook, the Instagram, we have our newsletters and district updates, as well as, meet and greets and our annual survey. And next slide, please. And from a social standpoint to engage people, we've had a series of family lunch meetups, we've had play dates, we had a fall foliage nature walk in the Reading Town Forest. We had also a Wachusett Mountain meetup. And for the Unified Sports, we're going to be setting up a water station.
Shade break tent.
Shade break.
Because it's going to be hot.
And then we're going to also, participate in the Metco Kite Festival. We participated in the Festival of Trees, and we're going to have an end-of-year social and patio socials and popsicles in the playground. And then later on, we'll talk about our future initiatives for the next academic year.
So workshops, these are the workshops we did this year. I'm not going to read each one, but one, Lynn Lyons gave Tackling the Pattern of Anxiety, Depression, and Avoidance. And then we had the screening of The Right to Read, which was very popular and well-received. The 360 Thinking Model by Sarah Ward. And these are the other workshops that all those sort of speakers and events that the parents really enjoyed. Next slide, please. Next year, what are we going to do next year? Copy, paste, repeat. We're going to continue to provide the new social networks and opportunities. We upped it a little bit this year, and that's been really nice to again, get to know the community. The more you can meet face-to-face and know who we are, with each other are, that really helps us be a community. We're planning on screening in a different key this year, do a screening of that. Also expand our workshops more by bringing in presentations on inclusion, additional educational workshops. Lynn Lyons and Sarah Ward are both so highly well-received by parents. We're gonna continue to work with that. And part of our inclusion, work more with the Friends of the CPAC. We're also, funding is always an interesting question, and Student Services always pulls it out from somewhere and gives us the funding we need, but we're also going to look at opportunities where we can do some of our own fundraising as well for some events. Expand our website, again, do the team chair meet and greet, which so many parents come, and all the team chairs are there. It's a really nice event outside of the formal IEP meetings, which has been really nice. Expand our partnership with community support groups, continue developing our partnerships with the school committee, school student services, and then finally that bylaws committee that I mentioned earlier on. So these are some of the things based on the survey and our past experience that we are planning on doing next year.
Great. Before you move on, I think there's a question.
Yeah,
so
can
let's
you
see if
just
Laura-
say a little bit about what In a Different Key is?
In a different key, a movie or screening. Jocelyn's the one who set it up.
So we had gotten a grant to do a screening one time. We are, it's going to be about, I guess, inclusion. And we are exploring the possibility of doing a fair here at Reading Public Schools at a school or place to be determined that is going to really focus on inclusion and have a what's available in resources in our village. And so the idea or concept is that we're going to have the movie as part of the entertainment, if you will. In one part, we're going to also have tables where you have resources that are applicable to families, from a special ed standpoint, from a general ed standpoint, and what's in our village, because it takes a village to take care of the families. And so we want to have that inclusive environment laid out of this is what you can do, this is what you can sign up for, these are the organizations and services that are available to you, and make it as easy as possible, and show that these services apply to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
You want to say something?
I do want to say something because I love the CPAC so much, and we're so grateful that they brought this forward for us. I'm actually almost finished watching the movie. It's really wonderful documentary about students with autism and as they grow up and are adults, And woven throughout is how do we make everybody feel like a member of our community? It also is a book, which as soon as the CPAC let us know, we're working on getting funding to add to our school libraries so that families and staff can access the book as well. So that'll be part of it, and we're working on getting a date and a time for their fair as well.
Anything else?
Nope,
That's
that
Q&A.
was
yeah.
our Q&A.
Perfect time for
Jumped the
Q&A.
gun,
You
yeah.
jumped the Q&A gun. You want to add anything, Sarah?
I just so much gratitude and thanks. It's so exciting to see such an active CPAC board. It was not that long ago we had one board member, and to see.
This one?
So it's so amazing to see how, and the fact that we're, saying how many board members should we have this year? That's just so exciting to me to see all the things that you're able to do. So thank you.
It's my first year, and I really, like I said, I am really happy to finally get convinced to join. But it's been really nice I taught for 8 years in first grade, and I have background with special education kids. My 2 kids are special education, and it's been nice to see I keep saying behind the curtain, and seeing all the work that student services is doing, what teachers do. We've been included in so much stuff. I really want to shout out from the rooftop of what the staff is doing, because some people don't see behind the curtain. All they see is that IEP meeting they go to, and it's rough. It can be rough for a lot of people, but it's really nice that we can see all that goes on and all the pieces that come together, and we can start to share that with the community. I think it's been a nice perspective for me, because like I said, it's just so much goes on, and I don't think it gets advertised enough. So I really appreciate being part of the board and having the opportunity. So thank you.
Sean, you remember Aaron, Sean, who had their hand up first?
Erin, Carla, whoever can go. I think we have lots of hands up. Whoever can go.
Jen has her hand up too.
Jen's already spoken. We'll come back to her.
Mine was directly related to Tricia's comment. Go ahead.
Okay, Jen, go ahead.
I just also wanted to acknowledge the board has been so great in partnering with us. Not only do we meet once a month, we also send them emails hey, heads up, we could talk about something. But they actually came and did a workshop with us this year that we're going to continue to do.
It was really good.
About what's the ladder of inference, and how do people communicate, and how do we have stressful conversations, and what do we need to do?
The ladder of conflict.
Yes. And so it really, we are just so grateful that they continue to partner with us. So I just want to thank you all
It's great.
personally.
It's been awesome.
All right, now we'll go Aaron, and we'll work our way.
So I'll piggyback on what Sarah said. I think it's been amazing to watch the evolution of this group, and all that you have accomplished and brought to the community is incredibly impressive. So I'm wondering, are there things you think we as school committee members can be doing to either better support you or help promote you more within the community so that more families are aware?
I think my goal for next year, we're going to push towards that inclusion topic. We have a great inclusion specialist in town, what does that look like? But also try to work more with schools' PTOs, because the PTO is a big driving force for that after-school engagement. And I have found that there's a lot of families who do not engage in after-school activities because their child can't be in the environment as is. They always have the opportunity to, but we went to a movie night and we had to leave early because it just wasn't but it could have been, but it wasn't. And so I think the goal is to kind of get ourselves a little bit more entwined with PTO, get PTOs coming more to our stuff and having that conversation to kind of educate each other. But there is a big gap right now in the community where I'm at Birch Meadow, and there are parents kids are in 5th grade who don't even know that there's been programs in there. If you said the word SOAR, now it's Embark, but it was SOAR. People have no idea what that is. And so there's that disconnect where we could scream it from the rooftop, but individually in the schools, there's so many amazing programs going on that are, and special ed is helping the entire community. And that's kind of the message that should be put out there, is that my special ed kids, all that he has in IEP is actually kind of it expands the whole school and kind of making that more aware. But I think we need to involve ourselves more in like the PTO world, and PTO needs to come into our world a little bit more, because all the SPED parents know knows what the programs are, but they're individual schools, Barrows has a program, Birch has a program, Joshua Eaton has a program, and I don't think the majority of those gen ed parents know any idea what those programs are. They just might know that there's a kid down the hall screaming and don't understand the background behind it. But if you knew, because at Birch, there's like 2 full-time speech therapists because of the need there. Your child who might not need speech directly is indirectly having, and it has an effect. You're in a classroom and you're getting like an extra support. The paras are there for the special education need kids. Your child is benefiting from having an extra adult in the classroom. Again, not directly, indirectly. It's this indirect connection that we all are having, but no one knows about it and no one's acknowledging it. So I don't know how that really plays out, but it's something that, Allison and I are specifically working on. We're kind of we're working together to try to figure out how we can fill that void and how we can make these bridges and have the conversations with individual schools. But it's really like it's the parents, it's the PTO, and we need to educate more parents about it, because the SPED community knows what we're doing. They see CPAC and they can sign up for something. But if our branding isn't great for the gen ed crowd. No one wants to go to a CPAC event if their kid's not in special ed. But we run events that would benefit the entire community. So it's trying to, again, make those connections to people that, like when Sarah Hardy came on and did reading, it had nothing to do with SPED. There wasn't a SPED conversation. It was, here's ARC. Here's ARC as the program. Let me go over the reading levels and let me go over this. It had nothing to do with SPED, but it was an information session. And then she came back and did another follow-up and answered all the questions that parents had. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know how to really answer that, but I know that going forward, the goal is to really start to integrate and educate everyone a little bit better without throwing it in anyone's face. Let's just weave it in, and let's just make everyone aware of the fact that these things are in our schools, and they're really great programs. So I taught in Stoneham, and they didn't have half of this. You were either this or this. And when I had my daughter in preschool, I looked at 4 programs that she may or may not have fit into. And I was blown away at the availability and the variety, and we could really cater to her needs. And that's the amazing part of Reading. So that's what I want everyone to kind of understand. But inclusion is going to be the big push next year. And how do we make inclusion for the community, not just for SPED? It's like, how do we push that through all of Reading?
Love that.
Yeah.
Sean?
So a few things. One, I'll just pile on with the gratitude for all the work that you all are doing. It's really, really important and valuable. Tricia, something you were talking about resonated with me, and there was an allusion to workshops, that benefit everybody and aren't just about special education students. I think that's super, super important, for a couple of reasons. One, because they do benefit, some of those workshops do benefit so many people, but also it does build awareness of CPAC and what's going on there. Dr. Milcheski and I have been having a conversation lately around, I'm hearing from more parents than I have before about behavioral dysregulation issues in our schools. And unfortunately, parents often associate those with certain subgroups, and they're wrong in many cases, but they do. And so, there's a lack of empathy sometimes, that we need to sort of reinforce with some folks. And so the more that we can, bring awareness to, what special education families are going through, or what, their students' needs may be, and it's valuable for everyone. And,
To me, I think normalizing certain things, my daughter walked around with headphones in school because the cafeteria is too loud.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you were in an office building, who has earbuds in? Who sits in a yoga ball in a work office? Everybody. So it's normalizing those things that some people would assume are for a certain subgroup, but we just need to say, no, it's literally anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody would benefit from this. And you can have a wiggle seat. You can have whatever seat you want, because we allow it as adults in an office building.
That's a good point.
We can normalize this, but in reality, in schools, it's pinpointed, and it's only for that kid. No, I'm telling you, everyone, if you go to an office building and people are wearing earbuds, they have to drown out the noise. It's white noise. How many people go to sleep with white noise as adults? So like I said, I agree. It's trying to find a way to educate without throwing it in people's faces.
I love that. My other question was, the piece about, more programming and more, sort of offerings for middle school and high school families. I would imagine there's a couple factors there, right? Because the programming you do generally is going to reflect the priorities of the engaged members, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of how it goes typically. So I would imagine there's, parents who just sort of, have other things that they're involved in and just, maybe don't dedicate as much time. There's also lots of parents presumably who have sort of figured out, how to support their own kids and built their own networks and things like that. I guess my question would be, are there other factors, that are making it difficult to sort of get, middle school and high school parents involved? I'd ask Dr. Stice, are there examples in other towns that do a really good job of engaging middle school and high school parents? Like, what can we, maybe this is another place where the school committee could help out, is where I was going, is like, how do we help build that groundswell so that there's more?
I think there's also some, in my experience, is that some kids can manage until a certain point. So these parents have not had to deal with a disability in learning until they get to middle school, because then we make a jump in our education. That's more, there's independence, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Some kids are not getting diagnosed with things until middle school, high school, and because they've been able to, keep their head above water, and then they get to middle school and high school, and then it's a rush to find the testing, the this, or that, but they haven't been engaged with us before then. So I think it's, again, I am going to have a middle schooler next year, and I think my focus is going to be a very different focus next year compared to what it has been for the past 5 years. But I do know that each milestone from middle school to high school, we're going to see a bigger group of parents who are definitely in need, but they don't know. They think that CPAC is only going to offer things for the younger kids, but if we start hosting things for higher level kids, and you guys have talked about going on and having a meeting about the LEAD, or the programs in the high school and middle school. This is how, I don't even 100% know. I'm better at the elementary stuff. It's going to be a learning curve for all of us to make that jump to the higher levels. But a lot of the board members, no one have anyone older than a middle schooler. I'm going to have the oldest one. So I think that the problem in the community is that there are jumps when you hit middle school. Your kid might sink, or dyslexia is picked up then because they've been able to make it through a certain point. And it's finding those parents and reaching out to them and knowing, and getting them, PTOs, getting school staff to say, you know what, the CPAC's there, you can always, and sometimes just emailing us, and then we play phone directory. You have a problem with this, we'll send you this way. And sometimes it's also the question of, where do I go? Because they get very frustrated. We get a lot of angry parents. The heat's too high. They're frustrated because they think something's been missed from K through 5. It hasn't been missed. You've just been able to you can be able to maintain it. Kids then fall off in middle school. High school's another big one. The curriculum changes, the independence, So I don't know how I think just we have to find the right speakers. And Lynn Lyons is great, but sometimes people think Lynn Lyons is for a younger group of kids, for this younger anxiety group. We almost have to look for that teen adulthood speakers.
Yeah, I think so, because I think partly it's the programming the CPAC has offered has just been of more interest to a younger group.
Yeah.
So partly it's, I think, us, and the
Yeah,
other.
the blind spot. It's one of our blind spots. We have to really sit back and when we pick speakers, what is the topic? It can't still be, regulation's always a problem. Regulation and understanding that stuff is always going to be there. But by the time they get to middle school and high school, their needs are not regulation necessarily. It's more the social emotional. It's the, how do I get my middle schooler who's reading at a 4th grade reading level, how do I help them in 7th grade? That type of stuff, and understanding reading. But again, it's making that bridge for parents to say, you can listen to Sarah Hardy talk about ARC, and she'll go over the steps in reading, the breakdowns, what's phonemic awareness, what's blending, all those terms, and it would still make sense to parents who are middle schoolers, because if they're not reading at a 7th grade level, they need to understand the lower level stuff. So I think it's just a blind spot. We have to really sit and even talk to Allison and Jen about what does Reading have staff-wise that can reach them? Because it's always great to find in-house, but I find the more popular ones are getting the outside the Reading community. Parents don't want to hear everything from Reading all the time, they want to hear from a third-party source so that they have a little outside information. Then they come back to the Reading and they're like, oh, I feel better because Reading is doing exactly what this other person said. They're not just telling me what I should do.
And part of the challenge with that is that we're limited in funding, and so we have to pick and choose the topics that we can select for workshops. So we're trying to think creatively for the next academic year of how we can fundraise so we can get more workshops to address the different levels. So that we try to pick workshops right now that can address a wide breadth of our community. We definitely need to have more, and so that's why we're trying to be creative with having that fair sometime in the fall. And I've been trying to apply for different grants, so we've gotten, I think, 2 grants now that we can utilize for the year, but we need to definitely get more so we can address the different levels.
And to piggyback off that, that was going to be one of my questions for how can the school committee help, whether maybe letting us aware of grants that exist, or funding in general. I know student services has always sort of found money somewhere, but anything sort of to help us so that we can reach. So I think the need often tends to be at the younger group, like myself. I have a preschooler and I don't know anything about it. And so I'm really engaged. And so I think when we get to middle school, for parents like myself, I think who've been through the system by middle school, and that's what some of the parents said in the survey, well, I engaged with CPAC when I was younger, now it's fine, my kids were younger, I've figured it out. And so if we can engage them, whether it be the parents who are new or the parents who've been through with speakers that are more relevant, because we can offer that, which is a funding concern, that would really help.
Carla?
I'll just make this really quick. Many of the people on this committee are here because of the issues with special ed prior. I can tell you, 20 years ago, I was dealing with it. So it's, we are in a totally different place now. And it sounds like you guys need the older crowd to turn around and say, we're doing really well right now.
Yeah.
I love the collaboration of having the CPAC join for training. That's awesome. Even just to have the finance director, just so people understand, like people think, you have to pay for this. Well, guess what? You know, it's this amount of money, and sometimes just to have that understanding, so it's not.
It was one of our most popular
Of
meetings.
course.
And, I mean, we recorded it, so I'm always like, if you want to know, just go back to the recording. He did a phenomenal job. It really explained, like, paras and why we can't just put like 15 paras in every building, you know, like, why is this, you know, and he was like very cut and dry, and people were like, thank you, I just needed a number.
It's not an endless supply of money, and people just have to be aware of it, which is, it's awesome to have that. So I think the in-house speakers are great. I see a kind of a connection with the children's cabinet too.
There is, yep.
Okay. And I also see a connection with Reading Rec in summer programming, because I hear that all the time is, I don't have any place for my kid to go in summer.
Yeah.
My daughter is an inclusion counselor at Reading Rec. What does that mean? She's, you know, she just turned 18 years old.
It's a big conversation this year because of summer schools, like
So
gets out at like 11:30.
But that's another,
Yeah.
that's another avenue to, you know,
Yeah.
to see if a different group of children can be serviced.
Oh,
in
yeah.
town. So, thank you.
No, thank you.
I guess I'll end it. If I think back, and Carla was thinking back, and Sarah was thinking back a little bit, if I think back 7 years ago, or 9 or 10 years ago, depending on how far I want to go back, as Sarah said, we had one board member and none of this engagement. And I think the work you all continue to do and the desire to make it more than 6, that wasn't even considered as a possibility back in then. It wasn't even in the realm of possibility, right? So the fact that the group is so strong that you want to add to the board and make it bigger is really quite phenomenal. I also love the fact that I don't know a single one of you. Right? I mean, historically, for the last few years, I've known the presenters sitting at that table pretty well. from all of the time I spent with CPAC and whatnot. So I love the fact that there's new board members coming up, and it's growing even more. If Eunice was here, I would know her. So, you know, I just want to observe that as part of what's going on here, and continue to applaud the work that you're doing, and say, you have our support. I don't know how well, you sort of already have the financial support to a degree. Wink, wink, nod, nod, but, you know, in terms of other things, if there's other brainstorming or other ways you want to think about fundraising or whatnot, I'll find a way to make myself available to help some of that as well.
Like I said, it's going to be, looking on those blind spots is going to be really important, because I do agree, like, there's a lot of people who, on that survey, were like, I don't know how to use CPAC. I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, I want to make sure that everyone has the availability. And I don't know how much of it is advertised in the middle school and high school. My elementary schools, it goes out in the newsletter, it goes out, you know.
It goes out in all the newsletters. So, I mean, I'll say this as well. I mean, it's one of those, and this is maybe a crude way to say it, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, right? So some of that is there until they feel the need. They won't plug in some cases. But that said, don't stop continuing the process of sharing information, pushing out. I love the fact that next year is going to be focused on inclusion. Actually, I'm reading a study that might challenge that conversation, but it's still something of interest that I think is good. Where Carla was going with the Children's Cabinet, and Jen might have been thinking this too, is as you work in a different key, the Children's Cabinet has talked about various different ways of sharing information around town for people who need resources. So it might be a good plug to either get additional people to help you, or, you know, expand the resource fair that we've talked about in the Children's Cabinet type concept. So just if we can align those two, in addition to what Carla was saying, that would be, you know, a force multiplier to a degree. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
And don't be strangers. Don't come just once a year. If you need anything, you know where to reach us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with that said, from CPAC to Student Services. And I will start the share on this one here in a second too.
Okay.
And then we can go from there.
Every time we do a presentation, I think of the kiddos who came last year and said, every time I want you to click the slide, do jazz hands. That was my favorite presentation, because they literally did jazz hands every time they wanted a new slide. I just would like to thank you. I am so grateful. The CPAC and the team that we've developed, I don't know of anybody that comes to the table and doesn't say, what's best for this student? How do we help this family? And people are really creative, and it has just been amazing. Allison Wright has done such a tremendous job leading the special education department, and the fact that we have an inclusion specialist, a program coordinator, a special ed literacy coach, that is some of the work that you all have done, and I'm really grateful, because those are very creative positions that most districts do not have, that you have helped us fund, that are making a tremendous difference for our students. And I also just wanted to name Fran, Mac, and Olivia, who are the most amazing people in our office, who pull everything together for us that we wouldn't do the work we do every day. They support the teachers and the paras and speech and language and school psychs and social workers in ways that nobody really knows. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. So as we go forward into this update, you're going to see the pillars of our strategic plan. And when you hear Sarah Hardy's update next week, she's going to have a very similar structure, because we really try to work in coordination, and so much of what we do dovetails, because none of this work should happen in isolation. There isn't like student support just does this. We are part of everything, and so that is the way that we really wanted to present this to you all tonight and going forward. So what you're going to see in this presentation on the next slide, you're going to, what we did is we really tried to focus on the pillars in the strategic plan and then talk about just a few initiatives that were really high priority and important for our community and things that we know are having a measurable impact. This is not the breadth and depth of everything we do. It's just a few highlights in the pillars of safe learning environments, instructional systems, and family and community engagement. So on the next slide, one of the things around safe learning environments, I am so grateful. We have had for the past few years a district safety committee with members of all of our school community represented. But we also have the town come, we have the fire chief and the SROs are there, and we're really talking about how do we make sure that Reading is safe? And do we have the right protocols and what do we do? And this year, we've been fortunate enough to partner with our union and really go through all of the safety data and make sure we're not missing anything. And so those two pieces have been really beneficial for our district. And one of the outcomes was we did a district safety committee on 467 staff participated in our survey. Every building had people respond, and we really wanted to know how are we doing and what do we need to do better. So on the next few slides, we'll just go through them quickly, but you'll see that's just the representation of the different grade levels and that we had staff throughout the district participating. And we asked people over the last 30 days, how safe have you felt in school? And you can see the majority of people said safe or very safe. And if a behavior occurred in my classroom, I knew some de-escalation strategies, or I knew many de-escalation strategies. And so people are feeling equipped. We know there's some work to still do, but we also are seeing there's some really positive impact. And as you go to the next slide, this was really about, do I know what I need and what makes me feel safe at school? And I just wanted to highlight, because I think it really shows how hard our building leaders are working too, that if I call for help, I know I'm going to get help. People said that consistently. They felt like the school resource officers were really important. And also that we have some mental health structures and supports embedded that people don't necessarily always know, but it's really nice to know if there's a threat or a student in crisis, we have protocols and supports that are nationally vetted, that we have trained staff in every school. So as you go to the next slide and see the survey themes, people really said when we looked at the responses from the whole district that they think we do have good training, communication, that we really have a focus on students and their needs, and that people are visible and supported and trustworthy in a crisis, which is really important. And they gave us some areas to continue to work on. And that is something we are working very hard with our principals. We actually took all of this data. We work with the union and our safety committee to go through it. And the principals are now working at their school-based level with their raw data and their ILTs or data teams, whatever made the most sense in each building, and refining to make sure every school's needs are addressed based on this survey data. So the next slide shows you some of our continued work ahead in the safe and supported learning environments. We made a district safety video. People were not a fan. But now people know me everywhere. They're like, you were in the video. Like, oh, goodness. But we really wanted the staff to have an understanding of some of the things that we don't always say. And so we really are hoping to do some more videos. One of the things is explaining some of the vocabulary that we use in schools. What is a hold? how do you know what to do in a hold? And so that families are aware, but also our staff has been so good at giving us feedback that we know our substitutes need to learn that as well. Because if they're in a classroom and someone says we're in hold, they're like, what? So we want to make sure we're filling in those gaps. One of the other things I'm really excited is through so many of our listening sessions we've done across the groups, our students have said, you know, it'd be great if we had a bullying and harassment policy. We're like, as a matter of fact. And they're like, when do people tell us about that? And we're like, okay, here is an area we need to work on. So we are going to work on with the principals, what's the best way to get to the students to talk to them about this and what does it mean? We're going to continue to update our systems, and I mentioned the school safety plans. So that's just a little highlight of some of the safety work we've been doing, and I'm happy to go into more at another time if that's helpful. We also wanted to talk about our instructional systems a little bit, and as I mentioned, these are just a few highlights to show some of the things that we are doing that have really had a big impact across our community. So the first one is our implementation teams, which we're so excited about. We actually use the general education model that Sarah Hardy has done with her reading implementation teams and her math implementation teams. So if you go to the next slide, you'll actually see a picture of Jackie Pelusi's inclusion implementation team. We have representation from all the schools, and it's really exciting because we have our own educators really trying to figure out what are the things we need to know to make sure all kids are included in the least restrictive environment. And we are really excited about that. And we're also coming up with a roadmap around how do we do the right PD to make sure everybody is supported, and we're doing that in conjunction with Sarah Hardy's team as well. On the next slide, you'll see a little summary of our special education literacy implementation team, and that team is actually really working on making sure we have all the right steps and feedback to ensure we are doing all the right instructional practices with fidelity. We just had an amazing presentation with Renee Lamaro and Erin from Sarah's team talking about MTSS, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 supports. What's the difference? And how do we recognize when students are struggling readers and intervene early? And not only were the special education team chairs there, we also had all the reading specialists there. So we are really doing coordinated work with our teams that we are really proud of. So the next one is something that you all have mentioned to us many times as an area of concern, which is the transitions. And so we worked on the depth and breadth of transitions across the district. We're actually still meeting. Allison and I are meeting with every school team chair, principal, talking about all the kids that are coming up, giving them the information, as well as the school visits, as well as the team meetings, to make sure we're not missing anything. But one of the highlights we wanted to do for you all was we really focused on the rise to kindergarten transition with the help of Jackie Pelusi and Alana Schoen and Kelly Decato. They have been in doing school visits. Kindergarten teachers came to preschool. Preschool went to kindergarten. They are meeting on every single student to make sure their placement and support is right. And we have a very detailed plan. This is just like an excerpt of the plan to show you we really wanted to make sure we were concrete and putting everything together. And on the next slide, you'll see a little picture of the Sweet Path to Kindergarten, that we just had a meeting with all the preschool teachers and the kindergarten teachers, and invited the building administration to talk about what's working, what are we really excited about, where are some of the pain points, and we'll continue to do this work. But it's really exciting to get everyone together and make sure we're putting all the right supports in for our students. I know I'm talking really fast, but I also want to be respectful of time and hit as many of these things as possible. So I'm happy to answer questions as we finish up. I'm super proud of this. We are really grateful in Reading to have had Understanding Disabilities. They've been in our schools for a very long time, and we are super thankful for their work. They're no longer going to function in that way, and so they're working with Sarah and I to make sure their work continues in Reading Public Schools. And they've created a lot of lessons, and we actually created a new team where we're working on our social emotional team, and how do we dovetail that work with the lessons from UD. So it's not just a speaker or a one-off activity, but it's embedded in how we talk about our learning and what we do throughout the day. And as we are working in classrooms, and it is super exciting. Some of the work we've seen, and I'll highlight it again in a few minutes, but the LEAD program has enacted a LEAD advisory where the kids talk about how their brain works and who are famous people with dyslexia and what does this mean. And it is amazing to me when I get to go into classrooms and kids are talking about flipping their lid, meaning they're in their brainstem and their prefrontal cortex isn't working, and how do they get it back in the right spot? Or kids saying, it's really cool how this works in my brain, and this is why, and I celebrate all of that neurodiversity. So that's something we want to have embedded in our classrooms. So we're continuing to do that work this summer. So that was actually the lead into the next slide. Back to the LEAD advisory for a second, because I'm going to shout out Tamia Jones again with her permission. She was one of our first students who actually came back as a senior and started talking to the middle school students about what it's like to be a student in the LEAD program, what it's like to be a student with dyslexia, her experience, and her celebrations. And to be here tonight and have her to know she got into her first choice college and has done so many good things and is willing to talk to students about it is really, really amazing. A shout out to Tamia and to all the staff. She'll tell you hands down her favorite teacher is Jamie Benger, and what a difference it's made. So one of the things they've also done in the LEAD advisory is students have gone from the high school to talk to the middle school students. The middle school students have gone to the elementary school to talk to them and to start to build that bridge. And it has been amazing. There's a little slide here. The students themselves made these slides. We didn't give them any prompts. We just said, what do you want kids to know? And they come and they talk. And one of our Parker students was absolutely adorable. He was so excited and said, the kids ask great questions. And so they're really proud of who they are and where they come from, and we are excited to continue that work. On the next slide, I just wanted to highlight some of the work we're doing. So the first example, To Kill a Mockingbird, is a 9th grade general ed activity, and the Animal Adaptations is a 4th grade general ed activity. And when you look at these, this is something that the LEAD students are doing. They're having access to the general education curriculum, but they're using things like the 2-column notes, which is from Cornell that Joan Sedita updated in the key comprehension routine. And also there are guided questions that help the students. The coolest thing about that, though, is they've created it in a digital cell format. So once the students answer all the questions and they put in their sentences, they disappear, so it becomes a paragraph, which is one of the things Sarah Ward recommended in her training around executive functioning, which the CPAC talked about. And then the draft on the other side, they really used some strategies from Project Read, framing your thoughts around basic sentence structure and elaboration. And what we're seeing is our students are really accessing the general ed curriculum with a lot of success, given the right supports. So we just wanted to highlight that for you. Some of the other things is we are doing a lot of trainings, and one of the things is story grammar marker, because we know that we need carryover. And one of the things everybody was talking about tonight is what does it look like in general education? And good teaching practices in special education are just going to be good teaching practices, period. So we're continuing to do that work. One of the next things on the next slide, it talks about the AIM curriculum implementation, and that's actually for our REACH program. It is really exciting because the core focus of this curriculum is having kids accept their thoughts and feelings without judgment. This is where I'm at. What are my goals and values in my decision-making, and how do I move forward? And where I'm really, really proud of our staff is they didn't just say, we got to train the teachers in this is important for our kids. They said, we got to train the families in this. Because if we're not looking at the whole child and everything that interacts with them, we're missing giant pieces. So we're really grateful that we had 5 elementary and middle school families come for the training, and we're going to do it again at the high school for the families, so that we're using a common language. So the next couple of slides just show you some of the components of AIM, which includes mindfulness and acceptance, and also has some of that applied behavior analysis in it, so that we can ensure that we're taking data, the kids are being successful, and we're getting all the right steps. And on the next slide, you'll just see that as we looked at curriculum, we wanted to make sure we had something that went through all the grades, because we know these are students that really need to have something that builds upon it. And that they are seeing themselves as continuous learners who are growing, which is really exciting. And then just the next slide is just more a little about ACT. And then the slide after that really just says we're going to continue to work on this, get more staff trained, including our general education staff, and we're really working on developing additional parent resources so we can generalize all the skills at home. So in terms of instructional systems next steps, we are really working on our templates and examples for the Ed Assessment A and B, lots of special ed speak. But what we know we're missing often at the table is the general education teacher's perspective. And we want to make sure that their paperwork as they come to the meeting is important, and it's really explaining what the student needs, and any questions and concerns can be addressed. So we're really trying to work with the general ed on that. We're going to continue to monitor all of the things that we've talked about tonight, and we have been working on a series of videos with the help of Sarah. She's looked at some of my videos to give me feedback, but really what we want to do is for 504 and IEP process, we want to be able to send them to parents and say, hey, you're getting a consent. This is what it means. This is what's next. Now you're getting ready to come into a meeting. This is what it's going to look like, so that we can continue to develop people's understanding and make it less scary. The other thing I'm just going to mention is we have the integrated monitoring review. For those of you who are like, what's that? It used to be called the TFM. Before the TFM, it was called the Coordinated Program Review. It's when the state comes in and checks our compliance with special education and civil rights. So we are now submitting data almost every day to the state to answer all the indicators. So we're doing that. Another thing that is up and coming is, this is super exciting to me. Dr. Marianne Wolf is doing a training, and we were able to work with Sarah and the finance department and get access for our entire staff. Anybody who can join to hear Marianne Wolf speak is going to have access, and we have the video that we will have for a very short period of time for the people who sign up. But she is a leader in brain research, and it's very, very exciting. Some of the other things, Sean, to your point earlier, we kind of talk about it as the students of 2025 are different, and how are they coming to school, and what do we need to know about them? And it is fascinating, the research that is going on about how kids are changing. And so we've bought all of these books for the schools. They're in libraries, but we're also doing book studies and really training the staff in what's the difference in our attention span, and it's scary. Jackie Pelusi laughs because I was literally in California texting her, hey, can you send me the graphic? And she's like, are you on vacation talking to random strangers about the attention span research? I'm like, yes, I am. And so I think it's just important that we keep up with all of that information, because it really drives the students that are in front of us, and how do we support them? Because not all students that are struggling have a disability. We need to support all students. What Happened to You, just as a plug, if anyone's interested in that book, Oprah's a co-author. We did our own little book study. The people who listened to it got done way faster than those of us who read it. But it's a
Does
good.
Oprah narrate?
What?
Is Oprah the narrator of the audio?
It's actually written in a conversation. It sounds like a podcast. And so Oprah's asking questions, talking about her own trauma. What is trauma? It's a very good book, but just the plug for people really like listening to it. The other thing that's just coming up on our radar is our executive functioning program review. We've done surveys and listening sessions and observations, and at the start of next school year, you're going to hear from our amazing team, and we're going to talk about it. And really, truly, that graphic that was created by Ali Sarno, who's one of our school psychs, explaining that executive functioning isn't just that you have a messy backpack, that there's also a social emotional component to it, and are we addressing all of the pieces, which is really exciting. So that's just coming soon. And the last thing, because it's a pillar that falls under student services that we've been working on all year, and I wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Barbara Best, who graduated today. You've heard this information from her, but she was really instrumental, and we are going to continue to do the work she started with, really elevating the student voice and building a community. So you've seen the next few slides, so I won't spend a lot of time on them, but we're really using those listening sessions to build on what students need and how do we support families, and we'll continue to do that. Barbara is so great at thanking everybody, and we have just such an amazing community in Reading. I am so grateful for the coalition and working with the Office of Equity and Social Justice. They continue to partner with us. I can send Erica a text, and she is right there with support that we need, and it is just amazing, and we're going to continue to do that, because as on the next slide that Barbara loves, this nothing about us. without us is for us. And I think that really just highlights, we've been meeting with students in various forms and families in listening sessions. Allison and I also do weekly office hours where anybody, staff, families can come and ask questions. Say, this felt lousy. Can you help me figure this out? I really don't understand why the team recommended this. And we continue to do that because honestly, if we're not listening to people, then we're not doing the right work. So we just wanted to highlight all the listening sessions Barbara did on the next slide. And then the slide after that just talks about what the Children's Cabinet helped us to offer around Phyllis Flagel and her workshop that really focuses on microaggressions, especially at the 4th to 10th grade level, and socially, what does that mean? In addition to the two things that were listed here that a lot of people don't know, we actually had Phyllis come in and meet with all of our school psychologists and social workers to talk about what does it look like in their worlds and when they're working with students. The next slide is just highlighting Jill Walsh, who came and who is an amazing speaker around social media and devices and gaming. As the CPAC was talking, not everybody likes to be recorded. And the way Dr. Walsh said we could record her was if we didn't just send out the link, because the person who talks about social media doesn't want people to take clips of her and put them on YouTube or social media. But we are going to do some screenings. So we will offer times that people can log on and see the presentation if they didn't get a chance. And so we are going to continue this work. And over the summer, again, Erica and her team, they have found money for mini grants for youth-led summer projects, and we have the town hall coming up, and Barbara actually created for us a toolkit around school connectedness, and that's some of the work we were doing with the CPAC. So that is a highlight of the things in student services. I know it kind of is a big mixture of things, but it really comes down to making sure everybody has what they need.
Okay, let's look around. Questions, comments? Sarah?
Everybody has quick hitting lines. I have a
Go
short
for it, Sarah.
list.
Why don't you
Okay,
start?
couple clarifying questions, Jen.
Sure.
And you might not know the answers, so if you don't,
Yep.
you can correct me to celebration. Story grammar marker, huge fan.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. Can you say a little bit more about who we're training, what grades, buildings, teachers, there'll be, and when it'll be rolled out?
Yeah, absolutely. We are, I don't want to misspeak, but all the lead staff and everybody, I believe, has already been trained, and we are across levels, and we are working on getting that all out to our general special education teachers as well over the next year. So one of the things I just wanted to highlight that I can answer better to the exact number of staff, we have over 20 Wilson-trained staff in this district at this point. They are certified, not trained. Well, trained and certified. And so I think that idea of increasing our ability of staff to be really trained in high-quality programming is really coming together.
That's great. Follow on to, is there any plan to train the gen ed teachers in story grammar?
So that's something we're actually talking to Sarah about. We have this giant document of all of our wish list. If we could make training for everybody, what would it look like? And that is a piece of it.
To your point earlier, high-quality instructional methods are for everybody, not
Yes.
just for people who struggle. The lead ELA example with the To Kill a Mockingbird, I think you said that was a 9th grade. Just a clarifying point. Sure. The 2-column notes template, is that something our teams created? It didn't look familiar.
No, it's actually a research method that started at Cornell, and then Joan Sedita adapted it, and it's something that is widely used as an organizational strategy for anybody who needs to be able to organize their thoughts and note-taking.
But the specific example, like for the To Kill a Mockingbird one with the prompts and those kinds of things, that was something the team created for the.
So the format of it is the 2-column notes, and then the prompts were specific to
Sorry, my question
To
wasn't
Kill a
specific enough.
Mockingbird.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then two other things. One quick one, the lead advisory slide with the examples on it. I love that we're focusing on the additional social emotional needs of this group. Your voiceover was fantastic about celebrating neurodiversity. I just wanted to say that the prompt, I think, was it a speaking prompt? Maybe where it says on the right-hand side above the slide, advisory, and then famous people who have overcome dyslexia before changing the world. Do you know if that was a discussion prompt? What was that exactly?
The prompt that says advisory, famous people who have overcome, that is actually part of the curriculum they've developed to talk to the kids. So they talk about kind of what is dyslexia, how does your brain work, and this is completely normal, and people learn in different ways. They do all of the training around our brains weren't formed to read, and we're making connections. And then some of what the kids were really excited about is they love to start to list. Sure. If you're in middle school, you love to be like, and did you know about this one and that one and this one? So the kids started that piece.
Thank you for clarifying that. I think I had a visceral reaction to that wording, and I had other people reach out to me about it as well, as the overcoming dyslexia piece. So I think the way you were speaking about it, I think, is the mindset and the way that we're talking about it and that we would want to lead. It's an incorrect statement to say that you overcome it, and it also has a negativity kind of construct to it. So I think just encouraging to think more critically about our word choice with the things we put out there to the kiddos who are.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that one of the things that we've had a lot of students who are really excited to say, and I know with kids it gets a little complicated because I've remediated my skills and I'm able to do this, often comes out as, yeah, I've overcome it. And so we're continuing to try to help them also not only advocate for themselves, but talk about it in a way that makes real sense and is celebratory.
Great, love that. And then I can, one more, and then I'll stop. Executive function review, I'm really excited about that, and it sounds like we'll have some initial kind of timeline and plan in the fall. Is that what
It should be totally completed in the fall. All the components are finished.
And my favorite, I'm going to ask every single time, the full review of specialized reading instruction for both LEAD and the Learning Center that wasn't on the next steps list. Is that something we're planning to slate for next year or to get back on the agenda for the program reviews?
Yes, we are looking at what's next and how do we get all of that. So absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, Sean?
Yeah, just two quick things. One, I love the very intentional approach to the RISE kindergarten transition. So thank you for that. I think that's fantastic. And then the second thing, and it just sort of triggered a thought or something that I meant to connect with you on. In the focus and inclusion page, you had, attention span and anxious generation. There's a parent group that's formed. I think anxious generation was sort of the impetus for it. Have you heard from them already?
They have kind of have a little in with Jackie Pelusi, who is our inclusion specialist, also a member of this community. So she knows lots of people. She saw it on Facebook, and we're continuing to work. It's actually something Parker was also doing as a book study at one point, and so we're continuing to bring people into that.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? No? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
For a change, I don't have a question.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Thank you so much, John.
Thanks,
I
Jen.
have some
Thank you
I
very
have
much.
for next week.
Next week, yes. Okay, so that means we get to move on to the strategic plan update. I don't know if you want me to share.
Great, this is fine, right here on two. Given that you heard a little bit about this in my goals last week, you've heard a little bit tonight from Jen, you've heard hear a little bit more from Sarah next week. I'm going to be very brief and provide a very sort of high-level overview in two ways. One, I'm just going to orient everyone in the community just sort of what's in the packet so you know what you're looking for. Two, just a couple of points of things that we think are points of progress for us this year, and then things that to flag we already know are hitting us in the face as points of areas of attention for next year. So first, as the community knows, this is our district strategic plan that we developed back in 2023. It is a 3-year strategic plan that has one more year left on it, which is the 25-26 school year. If you scroll down a little bit, Tom, you'll see that how the plan is divided up by 4 strategic pillars, each with, you'll see highlighted below it, also some of our initiatives in each of these strategic pillars. And then scrolling, if you click on each of those, you'll then be brought to that point in the document, which will show you a couple things. One, on the left, it'll show you the activities that align to that specific initiative. In the middle, you'll see some of the outcomes that we say are both short and long-term. Again, some of these were ones that we expected, outcomes to be completed in 2024. Others are ones that we think will be hit by the end of 2026. And then an update, the update that is in traditional, just the black colored font is the update from last year, 23-24 school year. Anything in red is our update from the end of the year. I would like to give the committee a little bit more time to digest all of the things that are in here too, especially in light of what comes in Sarah's presentation. So I think this is something we should revisit again at some point over the summer, especially as we think about goals and things for next year. But a couple of things in here I just wanted to point out really high level. Points of progress this year in 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, as I've shared with the committee, we are starting to see really positive turn in student achievement outcomes. That part of those pieces of those pillars relate to curriculum, PD, assessment. Those all feed into what we want as the ultimate outcome is our student achievement outcomes. 2, really encouraged by the progress within our sense of belonging work, especially around the idea of gender shared, of listening to our students and using student voice and other, in addition to traditional metrics, to be able to drive programming improvement efforts, et cetera. 3, really excited about our continued partnership with our union. That's in 1.3. Especially we partner with our union around a variety of things, but particularly this year around our collaborative work around safety. Thank you, Jess Bailey, her team, for being side by side to helping us think about pain points, what we need to do to improve our school safety. 1.5. ML coherence in our METCO and our MLL programming. You will see some of this in the presentation next week, but as a little bit of a teaser, some of the things this year around new curriculum. Also the work of Tayana doing around our as a family liaison. You'll see that in the update, you'll see that we cut our chronic absenteeism almost in half in our MLL department over the last couple of years. And last but not least, you'll see that we made some pretty significant bumps in our access outcomes, and those will be shared next week. So encouraged by what's happening within our MLL department. And last piece of encouragement is around a lot of the work we know at the high school. This is 2.3 around college and career pathways, dual enrollment classes, innovation pathways, things that we know is making the high school experience innovative and different. It was interesting. I was walking out to the senior barbecue today, and a student came up to me and said, I just want you to know I closed my experience here at the high school having more experience in plumbing as a result of the high school being creative with what I want to do with my future than I would have got in the local vocational high school. I said, tell me a little bit more. And they said around gaining credits for non-traditional sort of work, partnerships with local plumbing organizations, other credentialing opportunities through partnerships with the school, all different ways that this student now feels prepared in what is a pretty traditional high school model. So I think they're just scratching the surface on what this can look like in the future, but very encouraged with that work that's happened the last couple of years. 5 areas I know we've talked about, just to flag, as major areas of focus for the year ahead. 1.2, which is, sorry, I meant bucket 1, but 1.2 in the strategic plan, data systems. We know that we are encouraged by our new data platform and tool, but we think that is going to open the door for us to better close gaps in achievement and access across our district, which we know is a continued pain point. Our second one, 1.4, METCO coherence. We are thrilled that we have now bolstered up the team to what we feel like we've had wanted. Now is the challenge to make sure that we are fully leveraging the team and moving the METCO program forward, particularly improving outcomes for our students within the program. 3, you've heard a lot about special education, that's 2.1, whether that's program reviews, whether that's inclusion, a continued focus on improving special education outcomes. 2.6, educational admin technology, two big pieces of work in that with our team. One, AI. We have not done a ton of work yet around what AI integration is going to, whether that's the policy level, whether that's the practice level, and that is coming, as we know, or with us very, very quickly. The second piece of that is even technology integration with the resources and tools that we have. The third part is around technology, phone bans, what's coming along those lines too. So a lot to come with technology. And last but not least, 3.4 MSBA. I wish, and maybe Carla wishes, funding went through. Now we sort of move on. The school is built. We're quickly learning. There's a lot more work ahead in the year to come. So I think a continued focus from our team and our community on ensuring that we're in a good position for the stay on track and on budget in a school that we can all be really proud of. If you look in the packet, you'll see a much more detailed update around many of the indicators that we list and many of the activities. I encourage members of the community to read it, ask us any questions, share any feedback, and then I would invite a conversation later this summer to be able to talk about progress more specifically and goals for the year ahead.
Okay, any questions, comments from anybody in the committee? There's a lot in here, a lot to digest. And more to come next week. Drinking from a fire hose. Okay, seeing none, I think we can move on to the last topic on the agenda.
Great. Any preview from, you want me to dive right in?
You can dive right in.
All right, perfect. So this is around our Director of Finance interim role update. So as the community knows, Mr. Phil Littlehill has been in the role since October 15th of 2024, and his contract was up and continued through July 31st. We are excited to share that we were going to move forward and I'm going to recommend to the committee to extend Phil's contract for a year. Phil has, in his 7 or so months here in the community, I think done a really nice job in positioning us from a strong financial position. I think his background as a CPA, I think his background with over close to 15 years of public school finance and the CFO role has been a major value add to our team, especially in a time when you see many local districts struggling around school finance. We trust Phil's expertise. He's been a wonderful team player, and we are lucky and thrilled to have him as part of our team. Why not moving long-term yet? Phil's only been here 7 months. He's still sort of getting up to speed with everything like that. And as we've have done with some of our other interim roles, we like to give people a little bit more time to be able to acclimate to the community, for them to be able to continue to learn more about us while we continue to see them in the role. So we will have a discussion again next spring about the path forward, but I'd just like to share here, I've been very encouraged by Phil's work thus far. I think he's been a great member of our team, and I think he is going to continue to help us be in really strong financial position. So with the committee's support, I wanted to move forward and make that recommendation.
Okay, any questions on that? We will take a formal vote on that. Okay, you have a motion, or you want me to make it?
Go ahead.
Move to accept the recommendation from Dr. Milichewski for 1 year renewal for Phil Littlehill as Director of Finance.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? And it passes 6-0. Good.
Great.
I guess just as a point for Laura, you may or may not know this, but this is one of the only positions that technically we're joint hirers of, which is why our approval is necessary in that case. Okay. With that said, any other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. Non-debatable. All in favor? All opposed? And we're adjourned at 8:58. And you all